1,700 different Facebook accounts for violating their policies, a struggle that continues on just about every social media platform out there, Trace.
Kevin Cork live again in D.C. Thank you. Let's bring in former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo and founder and executive director at the National Security Institute, Jamil Jaffer. Gentlemen, thank you both. Jamil, I mean, it's kind of weird. You see the targeting here going on. It's highly unlikely that Fox News is going to paint China with a very happy brush. So they might be kind of spinning their wheels there.
No, you're exactly right. But what's interesting about this is you see them targeting not just Fox News, but the Washington Post, NATO. They're trying to spread this story as wide and as broad as they can. They weren't very good at it, though. It turns out that the people that follow these accounts were all fake accounts made in other foreign countries. So they weren't even getting good traction.
Yeah, it really is kind of amazing. And John Yoo, Mike Gallagher said this about the Biden administration really kind of being reticent to offend China. Listen, and I'll get your response.
Biden is trying to revive diplomatic and economic engagement with China as the core pillar of his strategy, despite this approach having failed for over 2 decades. Perhaps it's an effort just to cool temperatures going into the election. He doesn't want to see any economic downturn, or certainly doesn't. They're constantly afraid of provoking the Chinese Communist Party.
He brings up a good point, John, because even with, the Chinese spy balloon, a lot of different instances where there's been, just always kind of walking on eggshells.
I agree with you and Congressman Gallagher. China is the greatest foreign policy threat to our national security. They're engaged in a massive conventional and atomic weapons buildup. It's no surprise they're conducting covert operations against us using cyber. It's hard to defend against these kinds of attacks when the offense is so cheap and easy to execute. So the only answer is deterrence. The only way to get China and Russia to stop is to carry out our own offensive operations against them. It doesn't have to be out in the open. It can be secret, but we have to engage in deterrence. Deterrence is not going to work if we're giving them a lot of carrots and no sticks. And that's what it sounds like the Biden administration's policy is right now.
Right. And Jamil, the whole thing is you talk about deterrence, but the question is, in what capacity does that come, right? Are we talking about high-tech drones, space weapons? What are we talking about when we talk deterrence? Building up our military, building up our ships, what?
Yeah, all of the above. But what deterrence, you need to make deterrence work is you need to tell people what the consequences are going to be. You need to tell them what red lines they might cross. And then when they cross those red lines, you have to deliver consequences. And to Professor Yu's point, the problem is we've gotten used to not delivering consequences when bad people do bad things to us. We get hit by the Chinese all the time, by the Russians all the time in cyberspace. We don't push back. And not only do we have to push back directly, we have to do it in public so that not only the people who are coming up against us see it, but our other adversaries see it as well. They know that we won't take it lying down.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we worry so much, and a lot of people have brought this up, we worry so much about the military, bias training and the wokeness and the space weapons causing climate change problems. And it's like we've taken our eye off the ball, John.
What the Biden administration has been doing is they're not boosting defense spending where we need it to be to counter China and Russia. Instead, they are trying out experiments of social policy on our military, like bias training, like climate change. And it's no surprise, therefore, that we're missing our recruiting targets just to keep the status quo intact. So what we got to do, I think, with Jamil's point, is we got to redouble on high technology. If high tech can make our workers more productive, it can make our military more capable and lethal. We got to be pouring more resources into those kinds of technologies and AI rather than hamstringing ourselves by worrying about what China and Russia are going to do to us with those technologies.
Yeah, Jamil, I see you nodding your head over here. Give us a last thought.
No, that's exactly right. Look, the ultimate way the U.S. wins these battles, we're not going to put more people on the battlefield. We're not going to put more weapons on the battlefield. We're going to win by innovating. That means bringing together the private community and the government together to defend the nation. We've got to be tough. We got to be strong. We got to spend the money we need to and incentivize American business to build new technology, not push it down with regulation.
Yeah. Jamil Jaffer, John Yoo, gentlemen, thank you both.